In this edition of the Red and Blue Political Roundup, President Trump is out of Washington for the week, but that's not stopping Congress from keeping busy. On Tuesday, House Democrats are expected to vote on a plan to overturn the president's national emergency declaration. He issued that to fund the construction of a wall at the southern border. Also on Tuesday, President Trump's former personal attorney and fixer, Michael Cohen, will have a private meeting with the Senate Intelligence Committee. That's the first of his 3 days of hearings on Capitol Hill. On Wednesday, Cohen will testify publicly before the Democratic-led House Oversight Committee. Joining me now from Washington is Julia Manchester. She's a reporter for The Hill. All right, Julia, what can we expect from Michael Cohen's various appearances on Capitol Hill this week? What do lawmakers want to hear from him?
Well, Elaine, the top issue that lawmakers really want to get at is why Michael Cohen originally lied to lawmakers in closed-door testimony last year. You know, there's been a lot of scrutiny on this issue from Republicans and Democrats. You know, we spoke to Congressman Jim Jordan last week, and he essentially said it's ridiculous that Democrats have called Michael Cohen to testify, but have yet to call Rod Rosenstein or former Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe to testify before the committee for allegedly talking about trying to remove Trump from office via the 25th Amendment. So they're going to look at why Michael Cohen lied originally to Congress. Also, the New York Times reported today that Michael Cohen spoke with prosecutors in the Southern District of New York and gave them more information on financial dealings between the Trump Organization and other entities. So that's going to be something they're really going to be honing in on. But they're going to really want to know, in addition to why he lied and those business dealings, you know, President Trump's past debts or any deals he may have made, more about the deals the hush money payments that Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels were involved in order to keep quiet about their alleged affairs with the president.
Well, so the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Adam Schiff, said Sunday that he would consider subpoenaing the Mueller report if it is not made public, and would even consider having the special counsel testify before Congress. What kind of support does that strategy have from lawmakers?
Well, I think obviously Republicans are very against that strategy. You know, I think they would rather not see the Mueller report public, depending on what happens, you know, what happens down the line. However, Democrats obviously want to see this more public, so you're going to see more results from support from Democrats on that end. However, I would say that this really sets the stage for a major political battle between the Attorney General William Barr and Adam Schiff on this issue. You know, it's interesting. Rod Rosenstein said earlier today that he thought the issue of transparency really depended on the situation, and it was unclear what he was referring to. However, I think you're going to see a lot of Democrats gearing up to really want to get this report public and to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Well, the Washington Post reports, meantime, that lawyers from the Trump Organization have asked the House Judiciary Committee to stop their investigations because of an alleged conflict of interest. What more are you hearing about that?
Yeah, so the alleged conflict of interest involves an attorney that used to represent the Trump Organization that is now working with House Democrats on this issue. So you're seeing the Trump Organization saying this is inappropriate. It's a conflict of interest. However, this attorney and House Democrats are saying there's nothing wrong with this, that this attorney has, you know, this broad depth of experience in covering obstruction of justice, as well as these kind of legal matters regarding businesses like the Trump Organization. You know, I think some people looking at this could say that the Trump Organization would be nervous due to the fact that this lawyer represented them and has insight into how they deal. And also the issue of obstruction of justice has obviously been thrown around amid the Mueller probe. So that is bound to make any Trump allies nervous.
Yeah, we'll see what more develops on that front. So on Tuesday, House Democrats are expected to vote on a plan to overturn President Trump's national emergency declaration. Are there any Republicans who might cross the aisle and vote with Democrats?
So on the Senate side, there's absolutely very much so there could be support. And, you know, only 4 Republicans would need to defect in order for this to get to the president's desk. You know, we've heard comments from Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, who are 2 known moderates, that would suggest that they would be interested in signing and passing such a measure. It's interesting because the reason why they're interested in passing this measure would be because they're concerned about what kind of precedent this would set for future presidents. You know, if a lot of critics say this is a political move on the president's part. However, if a Democratic president ever took office, he or she could easily declare a national emergency on climate change or gun control, given the precedent President Trump has set at the issue with the border.
On another front here, Senator Bernie Sanders is facing some criticism from Democrats over remarks that he made on Univision about the situation in Venezuela. Let's listen to some of that.
Do you consider Juan Guaidó the legitimate president of Venezuela?
No, I think what has to happen right now, I think there are serious questions about the recent election. There are many people who feel it was a fraudulent election. And I think the United States has got to work with the international community to make sure that there is a free and fair election.
Is Nicolás Maduro a dictator, Senator, for you? And should he go?
All right, I think clearly he has been very, very abusive. That is a decision of the Venezuelan people.
So, Julia, what are you hearing from lawmakers about that?
You know, I think a lot of moderate Democratic lawmakers are very upset about these comments. You know, I think Bernie Sanders has been criticized for his foreign policy views in the past. Remember, you know, when he ran for president in 2016, he wasn't really running on a foreign policy platform. You know, foreign policy has always been a bit of a weak spot for him, and he's also exhibited some more unconventional foreign policy viewpoints. So, and from a lawmaker's perspective, they're a little bit nervous about that, considering he has such a big role in the 2020 race. I would say in terms of Democratic voters, however, you know, that could be potentially concerning due to the fact that, you know, there's so much negative news reports coming out of Nicolas Maduro's administration and government in Venezuela. So it doesn't necessarily make Sanders look that great. However, I will say this is a fresh opportunity for Republicans to really pounce on those comments and for President Trump to really potentially go on the attack to Sanders, who is leading in the polls in the 2020 Democratic primary.
And finally, Julia, California Senator Dianne Feinstein is facing criticism for how she responded to a group of school children who were encouraging her to support the Green New Deal. Feinstein said the plan had no chance of passing in the Senate. Is the Democratic Party starting to split over issues that traditionally unite the party?
You know, I think it was split way before this video came out, and this was essentially an illustration of that split. You know, I think in terms of the Green New Deal, this is an idea that was brought in through from Ocasio-Cortez, a known progressive, much younger. However, I think Dianne Feinstein, to her credit, has a lot more experience at coalition building in Congress and really working with the other side to get measures passed. And, you know, she said in that exchange, which I thought was really interesting. She said, I don't want to deal with someone who's essentially saying it's my way or the highway. That's not how government works. However, she did get a lot of blowback for this because it almost seemed like she was talking down to these young activists, and it doesn't look good for her at all. So I think, you know, the progressive wing of the party is really going to use this to really, I would say, raise this issue and I guess the urgency around this issue, because at the end of the day, it is these young voters who are going to have to deal ultimately with the impacts of climate change.
It is. All right, Julia Manchester in Washington for us. Julia, thanks so much.
Thank you.